The ancient Babylonians are said to be one of the first to be able to celebrate New Year's with a party, but also they're one of the first civilizations that ever set resolutions for the new year. And their new year didn't start in January like ours, but it started in March when they started to plant their crops. But I think it's a really good tradition to maybe pause and reflect and take a deep breath and have a do-over of sorts. So, what's the raw, real about resolutions? And truly, what's the super glue to help them stick? Today, we're going to look at some of the categories of life and where we might want to set some resolutions. And also, I'm going to reveal to you some of the top resolutions that others are setting in that category. Are you a little bit curious? Well, and why is it so hard to stick to resolutions? Well, there's some savvy ideas that I've gleaned from some of the successful authors that will increase our probability of sticking to our goals. And you can decide whether these nuggets are going to work for you and your personality and your resolutions. But it's a fresh new year. It's an opportunity to reevaluate and recommit on those areas that you feel might make the greatest difference in your life. Well, hello, hello, hello. You are listening to the No Brainers Empowering Possibilities Show. These are dialogues of encouragement with fresh perspectives, invitations to ahas, a little bit of science, a dash of behavioral psychology, some usable, easy skills that you can use right now, and a whole lot of creative fun. So if leveling up is on your radar, my friend, you are at the right show. I'm your host, Roseanne Marsh. I'm the author of the teen and the parent empowerment curriculum called Level Up, Empowering Possibilities. And you are listening to episode number 53, The Real Raw About Resolutions and the Super Glue to Make Them Stick. When I think about when do I set goals, I don't necessarily wait just till January, at the beginning of the year, to set out my goals. However, there's certain times of the year when it just feels natural to be able to get out and reevaluate and think, oh, I'm just going to put a little more oomph into those things that I really want to become, or those things that I want to achieve, or those places I want to go. Do you ever get that feeling? Really, back to school is, for me, a kind of a shot in the arm when I'm seeing everybody go back to school and getting backpacks and papers and pens. And I don't know, it just makes me want to reevaluate and start life all over again. And it makes me want to learn. But now with a new year, how great is it to evaluate, course correct, and celebrate those areas that we've had movement, that forward movement. And then there's those areas where we haven't quite moved the dial as much as we want. And this is our chance now to say, okay, I'm going to reaffirm, I'm going to regroup. And now, what can I do to make those resolutions stick? So it's interesting. I had a conversation with some friends about the 2020 year. And let's just say our lives were turned upside down. What we had to do is reinvent how we looked at life. We had to be more creative about how to make a living and how to do so many other things. But it really called on our creativity and our imagination to think how we could produce things in a very different way. But it also had us face some of our demons, because a lot of our diversions were ripped away from us. Maybe it was going to the gym all the time. Maybe it was sporting events. Maybe it was conferences. Maybe it was travel. For some reason now, we were now put face to face with those people that we live with. And spending that much time was an opportunity to see what we need to do to up-level our relationship with our family. So awareness is a great gift. And of course, it takes two sides to have a relationship. But I bring that up as an opportunity now for us to look at everything in our life with a different lens and with different opportunities and think, in my life, what are those goals and those resolutions that I want to set? that are very different from what I've done before, that's going to bring a change in my life that I've never had? Well, there's 10 areas that I wanted to bring up today, and I'm going to have you kind of grade yourself in those 10 areas. And the reason for that is we'll just quickly go through it, and you'll do it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, oh, I really need to do some work, and 10 being, wow, life is really great in this area. And once you've been able to identify where those lower areas are, maybe you can think, I think maybe that's an area I want to focus on this year. So are you curious to see what other people are setting as resolutions and goals in those 10 areas? So as I read these off, in your mind, just kind of go, okay, that's a 4, that's a 6, that's an 8, that's a 2, that's a 1, whatever your ranking is. But give yourself a minute to just kind of evaluate 10 areas. So as I read this off, think in your mind how you would rank yourself. First, physical health. How do you rank? Mental health. Home and belongings, everything that you own. Relationships. Career. Your learnings, or your education or self-improvement, you could call it. Finances. Contribution. Your hobbies and experiences. I call that kind of your dreaming too. And your spirituality. So that was physical health, mental health, your home and belongings, relationships, career, learning or education, finances, contribution, hobbies and experiences, and spirituality. So where did you rank the lowest? And what are those opportunities to up level? So as I lift off some of the top things that people are setting as goals or resolutions in these areas, it's not for you to get overwhelmed and think, oh my gosh, I need to set something in all these 10 areas. No, you focus on what works for you. You do you. But I have found that if I have maybe 3 at the max goals, I'm a lot more successful than if I do 10 goals. So you just pull out what resonates with you, and hopefully there'll be something you'll think, I hadn't thought of that. So starting with the first category, are you surprised that exercise is the number 1 goal that people set? So physical health is exercise, moving your body. You know, when we get stuck with our life, moving our body helps. Everything is symbolic. So if you're stuck for ideas, move your body, get out and go for a walk. There's strength training, there's stretch training, there's balance training, there's aerobic training, classes like yoga, tai chi, qigong, sports teams, or start up a group like pickleball. Many are setting a resolution of exercise. And in that physical health, eating was second to physical health. Adding more whole foods, adding more vegetables. Some are setting up groups to be able to drop sugar, or cooking classes to learn how to cook instead of eating out. Some are joining groups to learn about addictions with food or substances. So is there a resolution for you in the physical health? Second category is mental health. Now, mental health is very much tied to gut health, because if the gut ain't happy, the brain ain't happy. More diseases start in the gut. And for all you brain aficionados, you know that everything that happens in the gut has a lot to do with your mental health. Also in your mental health, some are cutting back on social media where comparison is there and time wasting can happen. That could be a real vortex. I find myself, if I watch a couple reels, I can be stuck in there for 2 hours. So I have to set a timer. Some are looking at what do they need to let go of. Did you know that there's ways to find out what's in your subconscious and work through those to change the energy around it? And maybe forgiveness is part of your resolution. Whatever you carry in your mind and your heart and your subconscious is the heavy you haul that is really unneedful. You know, Level Up has a chapter on just letting go of some things that are very heavy. Some people are searching out those support groups or private therapy. So, is there a goal or a resolution in the mental health for you this year? Next category, home and belongings. Okay, there seems to be a movement to simplify, to minimize, and to clean out, to give away that which we don't need and let it have a new life. You know, our environment really is a reflection of what's going on in our brains. And if you look at the one room that you spend the most time in, how is your brain looking? Now, my closet and my office are absolutely a mirror to what's going on in my mind. So, how can we simplify? Now, if you want some fun insights into why we keep what we keep, go back to episode number 5. It's called Fun Sway, a clever way to declutter your life. So go back and you'll find a reason why we start in particular areas of our house to clean rather than that junk drawer. So for many, they're setting a resolution with the things they own and the organization and cleanliness of their homes and their physical proximity. Can I add that's also our vehicles? The next category, relationships. Who lives in your physical proximity? How can we nurture those relationships? Think of our work relationships. Think of our neighbors. Have we gone out of our way to even get to know who lives by us? How can we nurture that? When we started building fences, we separated ourselves from each other. Or maybe you live in an apartment complex and you don't even know who's on the floor. Are there toxic relationships that we need to get rid of? And that's hard when they're family. But the number one relationship we need to be nurturing is ourselves. How are we loving and appreciating ourselves? James Carr was a noted psychologist. He said, I feel better about you when I feel better about me. So for me to be able to treat other people the way they deserve to be treated, I have to treat myself that way first. So in relationships, is there a goal or resolution for you this year in the category of relationships? Now, the next category, career. Are you in the right place? Are you looking for a promotion or a raise? And what do you need to do to get that? What difference do you need to make? And what legacy do you want to leave? I've had a lot of teens say, oh, it's just a job. It doesn't really matter. You know, the quiet quitting thing is a reality or whatever. But truly, the job that you do when someone is paying you a wage or a salary is the signature of who you are. And how we do one thing in life is how we do many of the things in our life. And who do you want to work for? Is your resume out there? Do you know what you need to learn from the company or organization you're currently working for? Or is there a company or an organization that you're going to create? So in the category of career, is there a goal or a resolution that you'll be setting? Now, the category of learning or self-development. Our box that we live in is really about the knowledge and the awareness that we have. So expansion is not only a way to add more dimension to who we are, but it opens the door to possibilities and expanded thinking. So is it a skill? Is it some knowledge you need? Is it habit? Is it a lifestyle? There's so many things and so many different ways that we can learn. Reading books. If you don't read books, challenge yourself to read books. Learning from varied media stimulates the brain and stretches the brain in a very different way than watching a video. So do you need a mentor or a coach? And what do you want to learn this year? So in the category of learning, is there a goal or a resolution for you? Next category, finances. The big goal or a resolution for most people is to spend less money on unnecessary things. People are setting the goal to really give a close look to where they're spending their money. There are apps out there that tell you what programs and apps and different things that you are signed up for that has a reoccurring fee to it. And it can help you decide at a glance which ones that you can get rid of to save quite a bit of money. But now on the other side of that, are there investments? Are there things that you're inventing that could bring more financial abundance into your life? So in the category of finance, is there a goal or a resolution that you'll be setting? Now, in the category of contribution, most people are asking, how can they give back more? How can they contribute to the communities that they live in? How can they volunteer? Where can they make a difference? Could they qualify to be a mentor? What of their resources can they give? Is it money? Is it time? Is it things? But to the extent we give others what they need, the universe is going to bring back to us those things that we need. So in the category of contribution, is there a goal or resolution that you'll be setting? Now, the last category is spirituality. Now, spirituality isn't necessarily religion, right? But if you are part of a religion, how can you embrace or become more a part of that faith tradition? Spirituality really is about believing in something larger than yourself. Is it the universe? Is it your higher self? If you pray, can you pray more earnestly? If you want some ideas on how to connect with your higher self, episode number 24 has ideas on how to connect with your higher self. When we can connect with the universe, it really gives us an opportunity to receive inspiration, some pondering, some learning, some inklings that we would not have if we did not ask and seek. And the feeling that we're not alone is really an empowering feeling. So, in the category of spirituality, are there any resolutions or goals that you'll be setting? Now, I hope this gave you a couple ideas of what other people are doing and maybe some things that inspire you to add to your life. And again, I have more success if I just focus on a couple goals for the year. So why don't we stick to our resolutions? What's going on? Well, Dr. Amanda Raybar, the associate professor of psychology, said, people tend to do what they enjoy and not what they don't enjoy. And within the first week of January, she said that 25% have already given up on their resolutions. Within a month, 50% more have given up on their resolutions. And that remaining 25%, well, they carry on with their goals. They make it a habit. So making habits on doing something versus not doing something. The raw real is we're not going to feel like doing something sometimes. But it's really about choosing in, because it's not going to be fun sometimes, but it can be very rewarding. And it has to do with making a new habit. We are what is in our subconscious. We're the habits, we're the patterns, and it takes time and consistency to create new patterns. Our habits are not only a muscle memory. I mean, for example, do you go into a certain room and you automatically do a certain thing? Or you walk by the kitchen, you always grab a snack in the same place. It's that muscle memory that's also ingrained in the way we do things, but it's also about the way we think about ourselves. And here's what I know. If there's an iceberg, we live in the conscious area of the top 5%, and everything underneath the water, that 95%, has to do with things has to do with the experiences and the stories and the patterns that we have developed over our entire lifetime. So to counteract that 95% that's in the subconscious, we need to do some very conscientious things to be able to get those new habits in there, to get that stick to the resolution. Well, here's my favorite from authors that you may have already studied, but it bears repeating. The first book I absolutely love is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he said it's not about setting goals, it's about defining who you want to become and then claiming that. For example, he gives a story of two men and they're approached with a cigarette, offered a cigarette. The first one said, "Oh, no, thank you. I'm trying to stop." And the other one says, "Oh, no, thank you. I'm not a smoker." So one of them steps into claiming the identity of who they are. So when we look at our goal, who are we as opposed to who are we trying to become? Another huge takeaway from this great book is it's not the goal that makes us successful, but it's the systems that we set up in place to create the habits to become or to achieve. So the goal is the target, but it's really those systems, the structure, the schedules, the time we're going to do it, paired with other habits that help us become. So if we're not getting our goal, we have to look back. It's because we haven't set up the systems. And it's not about being happy only when we get a goal. It's about being happy the entire process. He mentioned something that I've also used for many years, and that's the AM PM routine. And that's when in the morning you do a certain set of things, in the night you bookend your day for success. So in the middle of the day, there's going to be a lot of things, a lot of variety. But if we know that those prime things that we want to achieve could be done in the morning or the night, that we have a chance to set ourselves up to succeed in the morning and be able to set ourselves up to succeed at night and to be able to go to bed. When we prioritize the things that define the identity that we want to become, we put them in a system. I'm also a big proponent of the habit tracker. If you haven't used one before, it's like a calendar with all of the things listed down one side that you want to accomplish for your AM, PM, or during the day, whenever it is that you're going to accomplish it. But then for every day of the month, there's a place where you can put a check mark. Now, for those of us who in elementary school got really excited for stickers, it's a great thing to be able to put that check mark on there. But you know what it is beyond that? It is evidence for the brain that we are having success. But it's also evidence of what patterns we have going in our life. So if we're not achieving something, then we can look back on our habit tracker and go, oh, I really haven't been consistent in this. So it's really an identifier or a course corrector for us. It can help us get back on track. Now, James Clear did say, make yourself a rule that you'll never miss 2 days in a row. Resolve and go forward. Now, that's something I'm definitely going to add this year. The next book I absolutely love is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. He talks about the magic penny story, and it has to do with the compound effect. And he said, let's say I offered you $3 million right now, or I give you a penny today, and then I'd keep doubling it every day. So a penny today, 2 tomorrow, 4, and then 8. I'll double that every day for 31 days. So let's say your friend takes the $3 million and you say, I'll take the penny. On day 10, your friend still has the 3 million and you have $5. On day 20, your friend has the 3 million and we have $5,000. But on day 31, your friend has the 3 million, but we have 10 million. That is the effect of the compound effect, that when we every single day get incrementally better, the compounding effect is exponential. James Clear even talks about just being 1% better every single day, the effect that that can have. And we can try to be 1% better in everything that we do. But if we could just be 1% better every single day, at the end of the month, we'd be 37% better in those things that we had applied that to. Well, coming back to Darren Hardy, he talks about Newton's law, and he says, we will remain at rest unless compelled to change by the action of external force. He said, what is that external force that will compel you into action? And maybe it is aligning yourself with those like-minded allies that are going to spur you on and are going to hold you accountable. And think about how you can make your goal the most fun of the options that you have. Choice becomes behavior, and that behavior that repeats becomes a habit. So how can we make our resolutions stick? Another idea I love from Atomic Habits, James Clear, is that he says, set yourself up to succeed. Put a cue out for you every single day. So for example, if you meditate every day, between you and the bathroom in the morning, put your meditation seat and your blanket over you. If you work out, put your running shoes right there and your workout gear right next to it. So you are set up to succeed. Also make it easy so that within 2 minutes, you can be into your goal. So if your things are right there, you're going to trip over them. It's going to remind you what your goal is. It's going to remind you what that resolution is. Now, the same things could be applied to getting rid of a habit that you don't want. Instead of making it easy and accessible, make it hard and more steps. Make it laborious. If eating junk food is something, first of all, don't have it. But if it has to be in your home, make sure you have to climb a ladder to get to it. Make make it extra steps to be able to break those habits or make them unaccessible. So let me just add my 2 cents here. When I set a goal, to me, it's helpful to decide, what is that person like that I'm trying to become? What does that person do during the day? What does their schedule look like? What do they eat? Where do they go? Who are the people that they hang out with? How do they speak? How do they think? How do they dress? And when I think of those things, helps me start stepping into who that person is that I want to become. Another thing is I like to know my why to my goal, to my resolution. I even like to put a visual representation or a photo or a board that shows what that goal is, but it has my compelling why on it. And to find your why, ask why 4 or 5 times. Like if health goal is mine, I want to be healthy. Well, why? Well, because I want to have vitality and strength in my life. Well, why? Because I don't want to be sick. I want to be able to do the things that I love to do, and I need to support my kids. Well, why? Because right now they're still under my supervision, and I want to be able to take care of them. Well, why? Because they're my children and I absolutely love them. Now, if my compelling why is I love my children and I want to be around and be with them, that's more compelling to me than just saying I want to be healthy. But dig into your why of your resolutions and of your goals. Now, the last expert I want to share with us is Mark Twain. As Mark Twain once said, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. So Brian Tracy was the one that kind of coined that as a training phrase. The frog is the one thing that you have on your to-do list that you absolutely have no motivation to do, and that you're most likely to procrastinate on. So eating the frog means to just do it. Otherwise, the frog will eat you, meaning that you end up procrastinating the whole day. So once that one task is done, the rest of the day will be an easier ride for you, and you'll get that momentum and a sense of accomplishment at the beginning of your day. So what is your 1 to 3 goals? What's that glue that you're going to use? Is it schedules? Is it friends for accountability? Is it habit trackers? Is it placing cues or your clothes and things right at the end of the bed or where you'll trip over them on the way to the bathroom in the morning? Is it pushing through to just do 3 minutes instead of nothing for consistency? Is it trying 1% better today than yesterday? The real raw is that it's up to us to choose in. It's up to us to rally the troops and rally the help. Find others that are working on the same goal. Surround yourself with the synergy of others, even if it's online. Growth is incremental good choices made with consistency. It's about becoming our goal. It's not the destination, but it's the small choices applied consistently over time that gives us those big changes. So what do we need to do on a daily basis to create that fairy tale ending? Darren Hardy gave the analogy the space shuttle uses more fuel in the first few minutes when it's lifting off, and just like we do with creating our habits, it takes more energy at the beginning to rewire our brains and create new habits. But the rewards are worth the effort. I hope you enjoyed listening to some of the resolutions and the goals that others are setting in those 10 categories. Have fun with creating your success and consistency. As always, we are creators and we decide what our life will look like. So get creative and structured with your goals. Here's wishing all of us the glue to stick to our resolutions. Thanks for watching.